So again, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for being here with us this afternoon. We're very happy to have you. Today, of course, as you have signed up for, we are here for the OPT practical, the OPT optional practical training. This presentation is brought to you by NMSU Office of International Student and Scholar Services. And before we get started, let me introduce you to our staff. First is Matthew Lara. He is our Associate Director, and you can see on the screen that's his email address as well. Padma Reddy is our International Student Advisor. She will be the main presenter today. Next is Diane Kobrich. She's not here with us today, but of course, you can always email her right there too. You have the email address. Next, Kylie Arieta. She's here with us this afternoon. She's our program coordinator. And lastly, that is me. My name is Supapit Bibi Kenti. And I am so excited that you are here, and I hope you're all healthy and staying well. Let's go over the objectives today. So first thing is that we are going to review the eligibility and also other requirements for OPT. Earlier, you must have received an email from us with all of the information, and we understand that that's a lot of information. So that's why we're hosting this event, to go over any questions that you may have. And as you can see in the chat box, I sent you a little hello and welcome message. So please use this function to send me a question. There will be a session dedicated to answering all of your questions, but please feel free to send in the questions as we go over the presentation. And also, after we have answered all of your questions, we will go over how to complete Form I-765. Lastly, we will also give you more details about how to contact ISSS. Again, this meeting is being recorded, and we will upload it to our website, iss.nmsu.edu. So please feel free to go over to our website and you'll be able to watch this session again. All right, next I'll hand over this presentation to Padma.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're doing well and keeping safe. And Bibi, thank you so much for that introduction. So today we are talking about OPT. First, let me tell you, this has been a great ride. And if you are attending this session, which means that you are very close to completion of your program of study and you are looking at your next phase in your life. And the bridge is what we are going to talk about. So the OPT is all about a temporary employment, which is directly related to your major of study, area of study. And a student must have an employment, can get an experience for 1 year following the completion of their program of study. This is what all OPT is about. It is not mandatory for all students to apply for OPT. That's why it is called optional. If a student wants to work in the US and use his experience in the area that he majored in to put it in a field of, so that is what OPT will help. This employment opportunity will help. Can we move to the next slide, please? Students who have been enrolled at a CVS approved for 1 full academic year and are completing their program of study or degree, they are eligible to apply. And a student must be in good standing and have maintained their F1 status during all their time. Next. The work experience must be related to your field of study and appropriate to your degree level. Prior to applying for OPT, you don't need to have a job. You're required to work on when you have your OPT approved. You cannot have more than 90 days of unemployment. USCIS may determine your order status, and it has now it has now turned to auto-terminating students' I-20s if the student has more than 90 days of unemployment. Next. You can start applying for OPT 90 days prior to your graduation and within 60 days after you graduate. As we are doing this OPT session for fall 2020, which means that if you're graduating on 11th of December 2020, you could start applying as early as 15th of September 2020, and the last date would be for 12th of February 2021. I will not recommend that you wait until 12th of February because after we issue the I-20, USCIS has to receive your package, OPT package, within that deadline of 12th February. So please apply early. Next. The first step is yesterday ISS sent out an email to all the students who had registered for the OPT webinar today. And it included academic advisor, an OPT request form, which the your academic advisor has to sign, and that has to be emailed. You also have to fill out form I-765. What this form does is that it'll ask you for all your details. And once, if they see that you're qualified and we issue the I-20, they will issue an employment authorization card, which is also called EAD. And it will reflect the start date and end date. You can only work within those dates. Next. Please email us and we will set up a virtual appointment with you. Before you set up an appointment, we will of course review your application, your I-765, G1145, I-94, your passport and F1 entry visa. If you have your visa in an expired passport, we will need a copy of your expired passport too. We will also need 2 passport size pictures with white or off-white background. Please write your full name and I-94 number at the back of each picture with a pencil only. You can send via check or a money. Please also, we need a check or a money order for $410 towards the processing fee that has to be payable to US Department of Homeland Security. The only word of caution is please do not abbreviate. And after all of these requirements are met, and we as an ISS staff will issue an I-20. We will cut short your program reflecting to your graduation date. And on the second page, it will say OPT request pending. And after we issued the I-20, all the packet has to be received by USCIS within 30 days. Next. In the pre-COVID era, most of my students were in Las Cruces, and so the mailing address would have been the Texas lockbox. But now, with students studying all online due to COVID, students may or may not be in Las Cruces, but they may be somewhere in the US. Students can look up on this website, and we have also emailed you the mail-in location. Of course, ISS is also going to help you find the correct address to mail your OPT package. My only recommendation is you can send it either by USPS, FedEx, or UPS. FedEx or UPS, FedEx is the most expensive, UPS is a little less expensive, USPS is much more less expensive. So depending on your timeline and your budget, please make the right decision. But whatever you choose, make sure that you have tracking information. Because of the COVID, in the past, they would send us an automated email or a text or both stating that they have received your application. But now they're not very diligent about those. So that's why we recommend any tracking information. Next. OPT application, the completed OPT application, which includes your I-20, must be mailed within 30 days to USCIS. You can check your case status online, which was also there in my email that we sent yesterday. You can check the status. They're not very diligent, but at least you know where it stands at this point. If they have approved your application, you will get a notification and you can see there. This is the link, egov.uscis.gov/case status. Please check this. And to check your case status, you will need your receipt number or 797 form. Next, once you are approved of your OPT, can we go back, baby? Yeah. Once you're approved of your OPT application, please let our ISS know. And we will need a scan of your EAD card and the approval notice. Once we receive that, we will also issue a new I-20, which will show on the second page of your I-20 that your OPT is now in approved status. That is an important thing. That will be helpful for you to cross the border or traveling, etc. You cannot work until you receive your employment authorization, and you can only start working on the EADs, the dates that are reflected on the EAD. Please talk to us if you have any travel plans while your OPT application is pending or after it has been approved. There is a separate process. At this point, I will highly recommend when your OPT application is in pending status, I personally will not recommend you for the sole reason being that the I-765 asks for the latest I-94, which shows your arrival and departure records. If your I-94 reflects that you have departed the US, USCIS may construe as that you are not interested in anymore in OPT and you have abandoned your application. That is how it reads. So please do not refrain from traveling when your OPT application is pending. And also because of the COVID. But after it has been approved, if you have an employment and you can please get a letter from your employer that you are just going to your home country and you will be back. That would help you to cross the border or to re-enter the US. And please show them your employment authorization card and your employment details too. Can we move on to the next slide? Next, please. Okay. After you are approved of your OPT application, SCVP is going to send an email to create your portal account. Please sign up with your username that will be your personal email. Please do not use your NMSU email, as NMSU email is only active 1 year after you graduate. And if you are a candidate for STEM OPT, all your portal accounts will, all your emails will go to your NMSU, which you will not be able to access after 1 year. Hence, I recommend that you use your personal email and create your username and password. When you start your new employment or change your address, please update as soon as possible. I am overemphasizing this, but it is very crucial as now they have set up a clock, USCIS, wherein it calculates if a student has not, although a student must be having a job, it auto calculates, and 90 days after of unemployment, it auto terminates a student's I-20. At that point, the student has to leave US, and although he or she may have a valid employment authorization, it will still not be active. your I-20. So I highly recommend that you, whenever you start a new employment or change your address, physical address, please update it within 30 days. If you change your employers, you must notify ISS. Now the burden is being put heavily on the student. Please let us know, and we have to update within 21 days your new employment, and we will issue a new I-20 reflecting your new employer and your start date and end date if applicable. You may not work after your OPT has ended. You can legally stay in the US during the 60-day grace period after OPT has ended to make arrangements to leave the country. If you are applying for STEM OPT and have timely filed your application, you can continue working while the application is pending for up to beyond the expiration of the prior post-completion OPT EAD. OPT will not be approved more than once for the same degree level. OPT will also not be approved for a lower degree level. Next. Students who are applying for OPT are strongly encouraged to purchase health insurance. If your employer does not cover your health insurance or if you do not have a job offer yet. Students who will be applying for OPT and graduating should buy health insurance no later than February 28th. Yesterday, we have sent an email with the application. Please reach out directly to the insurance company and mail it to them, along with your credit card details. You can also avail at the same rate that the students are currently having. You can also include your dependents, but it is quite expensive. If you would like to apply, you can request, you can also request an application from ISS office if you are unable to find it. You can purchase your health insurance for 3 months at a time or maximum of 12 months. Can we move on to the next slide, please?
Okay, so here we will go over the questions that you have. If you haven't done so, please feel free to send them in the chat box. So far, I have 2 questions, and I'll try my best to organize them in, one topic to the next. But the first one is about I-20. Okay, the question is, my I-20 expires in January, but I already have OPT I-20. So do I need to renew my regular I-20?
Your OPT and regular I-20 are one and the same. If you already have an OPT endorsed I-20, we cannot touch that. We cannot extend it. But please look on the second page of your I-20 and you will see that we are requesting for your OPT to be extended for another year. So those are the employment authorization dates that you must have put in the OPT form. Thank you.
Okay. The next question is, can we travel outside of the US when we have an expired F1 visa, but a valid OPT or EAD card?
If you have a valid OPT EAD card, but have an expired visa, I will recommend that you take, if you already have an employment with an employer, please take a letter of employment, because once you are employed, we don't know what the Border Patrol may stop you for. So you need to have all the ammunition you need to enter. So your employment letter from a company indicating your start date and end date, preferably, are not required, but start date, and if you have a job offer letter stating that you are going to start and that they are aware that you are traveling outside the US for a period of time, but you will be back, then that is highly recommended. But once you are outside the US, you have to apply for a renewal of visa to enter the US. You cannot uh, just because you have an EAD card, you cannot use that in place of a visa. A visa has its own role to play, and that is what it is needed for. A visa is an entry document, and it is needed to enter the US.
Thank you, Padma. The next question is about STEM OPT. How does the STEM OPT works? Do we have to apply since the beginning or wait until an extension?
Um, I don't process this STEM OPT, and unfortunately Diane is not there, but I can tell you that you cannot apply for a STEM OPT at the beginning. If you are graduating this fall semester, 90 days prior to your OPT is going to expire, you can start applying for your STEM extension only if you are in the STEM field.
So when do I apply for STEM OPT if my 12-month OPT is about to expire?
90 days prior to your OPT expiration.
Okay. And how many months do we have to find a job after our OPT is approved?
Say your OPT gets approved with a January 1st, 2021 date, you have a total of 90 days of unemployment. So it is best, the fewer unemployment dates you have, the better for you.
This one is a really good question. What are some common mistakes students usually make while applying for OPT?
The common mistakes that students apply depends from country to country. Like I have many Mexican students, and they have an I-94 card and they don't remember when was the last they traveled in and out of the country, because the Border Patrol rarely scans their passport or visa for entry. So it does not reflect the most recent I-94. For that matter, so they have to depend on their memory to know when was the last they entered the US. So that is where they commonly make mistakes. And the other common mistake is that the 765 form has to be completed in a black ink only. And students have signed, because I-20 always has to be signed in a blue ink, and they usually sign it in a blue ink. Those are the very common mistakes. But usually, because we as an ISS staff reviews all the OPT application, we go through each and every part of the 765 and all the required documents. Of course, with COVID, it has to be all virtual. But in the past, I did all the checking of the documents and issued the I-20 only when I was satisfied with all the application and everything.
Okay. Going back to the I-20, how can we get our I-20 signature?
Oh, that's a good one. SCBP, because of the ongoing pandemic, has said that we can digitally sign your I-20s and email you the I-20. If you need your I-20 to be signed, please reach out to Kylie, Arietta, or me, or Matthew, and we will be happy to help you. Please include your name and Aggie ID number.
Okay. The next question, I am planning on working outside Las Cruces. Do I need to let you know about my new address for my I-20 for my OPT?
Yes, definitely yes. If you are working, there are so few jobs in Las Cruces. We are going to expect most of our students to be out of New Mexico, actually. But yes, you have to update your address on your service portal always. And we will issue a new I-20 anytime you have a change of employer, because your current I-20 should reflect your new employer details. on the, it will reflect on the second page of your I-20. If you already have not got it, please request one.
Okay. The next question is, do I need to exit the US and re-enter once I get my OPT?
No, you don't need to. Absolutely not. We would not recommend you to travel. And in fact, we would more during the coronavirus, even pre-coronavirus, we would not recommend travel outside the US, especially when your application is pending. And even after it is approved, you have to get your employment letter so that you are not stopped at entering the US.
Okay. The next question, if we are still working at NMSU, can we work during the winter break at NMSU if we haven't gotten our OPT?
If you are graduating, I am assuming that you are graduating this fall. If you have graduated, you can no longer work for NMSU or for any other company for that matter. You can only start working after your OPT is approved and your EAD reflects the start date and the end date. You can only work within those dates.
Okay. The next question is a little specific, and I do want to add that I'll keep, of course, the names of the people who asked the questions private. And if you need further guidance, we will be more than happy to schedule a virtual appointment with you. But
Yes.
back to the question, before NMSU, I went to a community college. There, I ended up being out of status because I was under 12 credits. I was able to reinstate my F1 visa and never been out of status ever since. Is that going to affect my OPT application?
No, because if you have maintained your F1 status in a good standing for one academic year, then it will not affect you.
Okay. The next question is, can you expand on OPT not issued for a lower degree? Does it matter if the degree is from another school?
Yes, I can gladly do that. And I'm glad you asked this question. Let us assume that a student completed their master's degree. And after their master's degree, they went back to complete their associate degree. And once they completed their master's degree, they applied for OPT and they're done. And next, they decided to enroll in associate degree. Because they already got it at a higher level, they cannot go to a lower level to apply for an OPT again.
Okay, thank you. I have a lot of questions coming in. So the next one is about health insurance, I believe. The question is, if I'm graduating in spring 2021 and my husband gets a health insurance from his company for the entire 2021 year, will it still be necessary to get GeoBlue student insurance from the university, even if I have a different insurance?
So from the question, I'm not sure if she's asking if she needs insurance for the spring 2021 semester, because all that I understood from the question is that she is planning on graduating in spring 2021. These are two different topics. Now, first topic is that if the student is asking because of her husband, if she cannot have the NMSU insurance, yes, there is a possibility, but the deadline to apply for that is January 31st. And that there is a process to applying for that. And we can always email you the details as to the approval, how does the process goes. The insurance company, GeoBlue, verifies and makes sure that your husband's insurance is equivalent or higher than NMSU insurance. and then they will approve it. If they approve it, then the insurance charges are not posted to the student account. Now, if the student is asking me about if they want to get insurance after they graduate, no, it is not mandatory, but we are only recommending it more so because of the COVID, but otherwise it is not mandatory. Once a student has graduated, it is their complete responsibility. If they want to have an insurance or not, it is totally onto them.
Okay, next question. If the OPT gets denied, does it have any effect towards the degree acquisition?
If the OPT gets denied for whatever reasons, it does not affect your degree. Yeah, I'm assuming that you would have already finished your degree by now, because and the only thing is that so from the date of your degree completion, you will have 60 days grace period to make sure to leave the US or start a new program of study.
Thank you. The next question is, if I will complete my degree by May 2021, when is the right time to apply for OPT?
If you are planning to graduate in May 2021, you can apply for OPT 90 days prior to your graduation, or 60 days within 60 days of after your graduation.
Could you give some examples of reasons why your OPT would be denied?
I personally have never had a denial. I have never come across in the past 3 years that I have been doing an OPT. So it's a very difficult answer for me to question for me to answer. If a student is basically not qualified, we don't even issue an I-20 for recommending OPT. But I have heard from other institutes, if there is any criminal background, or if a student has not provided sufficient information, then OPT could be denied. I have had an RFE long time by one of my colleagues because they had submitted passport pictures and they did not put it in an envelope, and they wrote their name and I-94 number with a pen, and they RFE'd, but now they outright deny it. They're not very generous as they were in the past. And sometimes if a check bounces, there have been reasons because of that. And if the money order that they have submitted and did not write the US Department of Homeland Security, USCIS, then if they abbreviated it for whatever reasons, then they would deny it.
Thank you, Padma. The next question says, I got a text yesterday saying my I-797 will be mailed soon. How long after my EAD will take to get to me?
I wish I had a good answer for you. I'm sorry. Because of the COVID, everybody is working remotely. There have been many rumors, many cases wherein students did not receive their receipt notice because either that it was not mailed, or there was a delay of 2 to 3 weeks. The EAD card usually comes, the processing times are anywhere between 2 to 4 months currently by USCIS. There is no concrete more than that, because it depends entirely on how fast an advisor is able to process. Working remotely it depends on a lot. Currently USCIS also has a lot of is on a financial crunch. So they have a lot of work, and there are few advisors who are able to process it. So they are on a severe time lag. I've heard in many instances where a student did not receive. I don't know if the student lost, either the postal services lost it or they did not mail the 797.
Thank you. The next question, if the visa status changes from F1 to H1B because of a job offer, but I have not completed my degree, then can I complete my degree? If yes, what do I have to do?
If you have been changed from F1 status to an H1B, that is a big congratulations to you. That is because you have skipped the process of OPT and payment and all the tensions that we are talking about, which is wonderful news for you. Your H1B is approved based on your employer who has applied on your behalf because he wanted to hire you. Now, if you want to study full-time or part-time, it'll depend totally on the employer. Your employer, as a H1B student, H1B approver, it is now based on the employer. If your employer agrees to you studying full-time, then yes, you can study full-time. If your employer basically says, no, your major responsibility lies with my company and you have to work full-time, then you can do probably a part-time. So that is a discussion that I will recommend that you talk to your employer and your HR or the immigration lawyer who helped you get the H-1B.
Okay, another question. So sorry if this is not related, but what is the minimum salary in New Mexico or Texas required for applying for H-1B or green card?
Oh, I don't know. Because first, our office does not process H-1Bs. I'm not aware of the process or green cards, absolutely not. But that is something, we are going to have a webinar with our immigration attorneys. I think it is on November 12th or 13th. And you can join the webinar and you can post this question.
And this announcement was sent today too. If you check your FSN emails from ISSS, you should be able to get more details about this information session. Okay, moving on. Another unrelated question to the OPT topic. Will you be taking any questions about CPT?
As this webinar is mostly about OPT, no.
Okay. Now, the next question is, what if I apply for OPT and have a PhD admission at the same time? Can I forego the OPT?
Yes, you can forego the OPT. If you have already an approved OPT but you would like to give up your OPT and continue on to do your PhD, your international office will ask you for an email in writing that you are aware that your OPT was approved for the start date and end date validity period, but you have decided not to pursue your OPT at this time, but would like to pursue your PhD. And then they will process your I-20 for your PhD program of study.
Thank you. The next question is, how long can we work in the US with an OPT? And if we do not get an H-1B visa by the time that my OPT expires, then is there an option to renew the OPT? Or if yes, if we can renew the OPT, how long? For how long?
So OPT is usually approved for 1 year. If you apply late, then it may get cut short, but usually it is approved for 1 year. if you are in a STEM field, you can apply for a STEM OPT, and you can start applying 90 days prior to your OPT expiry. And the STEM OPT is valid for 2 years. So that is the good news. And if you think you are not going to, if you do not get a sponsorship for H-1B, once again, we are going to conduct a webinar with an immigration attorney this week, next week, and you can ask those questions. What are your options?
Thank you so much, Matthew, for putting the link to register for this information session with the immigration attorney. So if you're interested, please check out the link in the chat that Matthew has sent. Okay, the next question. So before emailing our OPT package, do we set up a meeting, and with who?
Good one. You can set up a meeting either with me or Diane Gobrick. Diane Gobrick works part-time. She works from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. So she's not available, but we all are working virtually, remotely. So you can send your application 765 and all the required documents, and we will review it one-on-one, and also after reviewing, we can have a one-on-one virtual meeting, and we will go through your application.
Thank you. The next question is, do we sign up for SEVP portal only after we get approval from USCIS, or after I receive notice from my OPT package by USCIS?
SEVP will send your portal link to create a portal link after your OPT is approved, not prior to it. So once you get your OPT approved, SEVP is going to send in your email, and please sign up for it, and you can update your employment details and any address changes.
Perfect. Next, if I receive an employment offer before my expected graduation date and before the 90 days for OPT application date, can I apply for OPT?
Oh, that is a strong one. Yes, yes, but you can apply for something called as a pre-OPT, which is before you graduate is what it is. So this that is an extended process. Please set up a one-on-one meeting with one of our advisors, and we can walk you through the process of it if that works. We usually do not recommend pre-completion OPT for the sole reason being that you have to apply for pre-completion OPT and post-completion OPT at 2 different times, and you have to pay application fees twice. So this is how, let me give you a brief background. So for the pre-completion OPT, when school is in session, you can only work part-time. During the vacation or summer, you can work full-time. If that is okay with you, then you can go ahead. And say you used 50% of, because 1 year is what you get on OPT. If you used 50% of the time for working on pre-completion OPT, then you will only be approved for 50% post-completion of your OPT. Please remember the process time for an application, either pre or post-completion, is anywhere between 2 to 4 months.
Thank you. The next one, if I am graduating from my bachelor's this semester, but I'm in an accelerated master's program and graduating from my master's in the spring 2020, I think they meant to say 2021, should I apply for the OPT now? Specifically if I am looking for a job next semester.
I am not sure what your question is. I'm a little confused. So you are telling me that you are going to graduate from your bachelor's this fall and graduate from your master's next spring.
Right.
Huh, that is a tough one. You can apply for bachelor's OPT, but I'm not sure if you're qualified because you have to be in that academic level for 1 academic year, and that is not the case. Or if you can prove that you have been, but your current I-20 does not say that you are also taking an accelerated program of master's, then that may be a complication. I think this deserves a one-on-one meeting.
Okay. Can we start applying for jobs before receiving an OPT, or do we have to wait until we have everything to start applying?
You can start applying for jobs, but once you have an interview, please tell your prospective employer that you have already applied for OPT and you're pending approval from USCIS, your application, and you will be glad to join as soon as they approve it. So they know at least if they can wait for you to join them or they can look for another candidate.
Perfect. Next, if I get a job offer while I am in the last phases of my studies, can I apply for the OPT and finalize my degree after I start my OPT? If yes, by when should I complete my degree? So this is more about pre-OPT.
I don't know if this is pre, because if it is pre, then yeah, pre-completion. But the question that I am confused is about, can they complete their degree after OPT is, oh man, this is an incomplete kind of a question. And it is making me think of various scenarios to answer. And I'm assuming a lot of things. I think the student should be much more clearer, and maybe I can help. If they are referring, if they are graduate students, and if they have completed their complete coursework and pending their thesis or dissertation, are they eligible to apply for OPT? Yes, they are eligible, but they have to complete their thesis and dissertation before the completion of their OPT, because if they are trying to apply for STEM OPT, they have to submit their transcripts and their diploma as part of the STEM application.
Thank you. The next question says, I can stay in the US unemployed for 90 days after graduation, correct? If I am graduating this fall, when is my last day to get a job?
Can you repeat that question?
Sure. So can the student stay in the US unemployed for 90 days after graduation is the first part.
So if you have applied for your application after, say, 90 days prior to your graduation or within 60 days, you can definitely stay while your OPT application is in pending status. What is the next?
The second part of the question is, if I am graduating this fall, when is my last day to get a job?
NMSU does not require you to have a job. It is your OPT application and your employment EAD, which requires you to, when you are on OPT, it is what requires you to be employed. You can have, after your OPT is approved, say your OPT is approved on January 1st, 2021, you can have 90 days of unemployment days, or else your I-20 will be terminated. Else, you can have a straight 90 days of unemployment, or you can have like 1 month of unemployment, and then you get a job of 6 months and then lose the job, and then there is another 1 month break. But the overall aggregate should not exceed 90 days of unemployment of the 1 year employment authorization that you received.
Thank you, Padma. The next question, if I get my EAD for 2 to 4 months, can I stay in the country while I wait?
Yes, which means that you have applied for OPT and you're pending USCIS adjudication of your case, then yes, you can legally stay in the US. That is the reason why we issue an I-20 reflecting that you are pending an application, which is going to be reflected on the second page of your I-20.
Okay. The next question is about health insurance. If I graduate this fall, will my health insurance be valid to the end of the year, or will it expire on the day that I graduate?
Your current, if you are graduating this fall semester, your current insurance for fall is valid until January 31st, 2021.
Perfect. The next question, assuming I completed a master's 2 years ago, proceeded into a PhD program, and 2 years into the PhD program, I want to quit. Can I still apply for OPT using my master's degree?
So 2 years ago, when you applied for master's, if you have applied for OPT, then you are not currently eligible because you have quit your PhD, and I'm assuming you're graduating from your master's again. Then if you have not applied for OPT the first time at master's level, I'm assuming you can apply for master's, but that is something I need to look up. And I want to be sure when I answer you, if you can apply, if you have done 2 degrees on a master's, and if you have not applied for OPT in the first one, but are trying to apply for OPT for the second one. I think so, but I want to be sure. This is something that I need to do a little bit more research.
Thank you, Padma. The next question, if I plan to graduate summer 2021, can I apply for pre-OPT that allows me to work for a company during the summer?
Yes, you can apply for summer pre-completion OPT, yes.
Okay, this one is a really good question. Can we cross the border for Thanksgiving break and come back? I don't think this necessarily is about OPT, just a general question.
Currently, I know we all miss family, especially international students. It must have been a long time that they must have seen their parents, and during the festival times are more Thanksgiving and Christmases are all about seeing each other and family. Because of these circumstances, because of the ongoing pandemic, ISSS is personally not recommending that you travel because you may not be allowed to re-enter the office because NMSU is going completely online after spring break. So if the Border Patrol says if your classes are all online, you don't need to come to the US, then we cannot write a support letter for you to enter. And even if you are able to enter, we would recommend 2 weeks of self-quarantine and all of those. That is a scary option. Right now, it is best to stay where you are and have a virtual Zoom Thanksgiving and be safe. And please help us control the pandemic.
I was wondering if Kylie or Matthew has anything to add about the travel plans, traveling during the pandemic.
Yeah, sure. I just kind of would like to reiterate what Padma just said. We do not recommend traveling outside of the country during the pandemic, and for everything that Padma just said. The situation seems to change day by day. Um, Numbers are getting worse in New Mexico. They have been bad outside of New Mexico. And we just can't predict what might happen at the border. You might get stuck outside of the country and not allowed to come in. The other thing is we will not recommend travel because we as an office have no way of controlling what you do upon your return, except to tell you that we have to abide by state mandated health regulations that are put in place by the governor, and we have to be sure that we're relaying that information to our students, and let them know that if you do travel outside of the state and outside of the country and you do come back in, you have to self-quarantine for 14 days, state mandate. Um, and basically right now you're looking at the entire ISSS full-time professional staff, 4 people. We don't have the resources or the time to make sure that our international students are complying with those mandates. But we have to remind you that you have to comply with them. But we strongly recommend that you do not travel. And you know, if you're going to leave for Thanksgiving, leave and don't plan on coming back until the spring semester. That's the best thing I can say. And that's why the university is going to all online for those 2 remaining weeks. It's to just kind of say, okay, from this point, you know, students don't necessarily have to be on campus. They can finish the semester online. But again, just to reiterate what Padma said, we do not recommend traveling outside of the state of New Mexico or outside of the country for the Thanksgiving break. Kylie?
Yeah, I think you captured all of it, Matthew. Just that students really need to think carefully about travel plans and the possibilities, you know, of those plans not necessarily going, you know, how they want them to. So that's why we are very cautious, and this is what we recommend, and that students just do need to comply with all of the mandates, you know, the current mandates.
Thank you so much. Staying with the traveling theme, will domestic travel cause issues during OPT or after graduation?
Domestic travel will not affect your OPT application, but because of the pandemic, I do not recommend you traveling.
Thank you. Next, for doing a job with an OPT, what is the minimum time required for the job, and is there a minimum salary?
There is no minimum salary because in your portal account or in from our end, we don't need to enter what is the minimum salary that is required for a student to get a job. But what is required is that if a student has a 20 hours plus job, then it is considered full-time. So 21 hours or more is full-time. If it is 20 hours or less, then it is considered part-time. But the job that you get, it has to be related to your field of study at the level of your study that you have graduated. In your portal account, you have to show how your job is related to your field of study.
I think you have already answered the next question. Can I apply to STEM OPT even if I'm not in one of the fields for it?
No, you cannot, unfortunately.
Okay. So if OPT gets denied, does that have any effect towards the degree completion?
By the time you apply for OPT, even if we assume that 90 days prior to your graduation you have applied, and assuming that that it takes about 3 to 4 months for them to process, you would have already completed your degree. And OPT is you are requesting an employment authorization. You are not requesting for a degree completion. Degree completion is from NMSU, not from USCIS. So two different things.
Okay. Can I start working if they approve it, even if I don't get my EAD?
You have to get your EAD for your higher I-9 purposes.
Next question. I'm planning on starting my master's in the spring. Should I apply for CPT if I am to get a co-op position during the same semester?
This is a CPT question. We will answer it in another session, or you can send us an email, but not in this.
Thank you. So for now, I have 2 more questions. If you feel like you haven't had a chance to hear your answer, or if I missed any question, please feel free to send them in. If not, I'll read out 2 more questions and we'll move on about how to complete the form, I-765, okay? The next question is, during the summer semester, if I work for a company with my pre-OPT, can I register some credits at the same time that allows me to finish my dissertation for my PhD degree by the end of the summer semester?
If you are approved for pre-completion OPT, then when school is in session, that is fall and spring, you have to be a full-time student. But during summer and break times, you can be a full-time employment. If you are only in your thesis and dissertation stage, then you can be a full-time working and try to complete your dissertation and thesis.
Okay, 2 more questions, Padma, and then we'll move on. Do we still need to update our address in my NMSU after we move to other places while on OPT?
You don't need to update it on my NMSU, but please send us an email to our ISS staff letting us know that you have moved, and please make sure to update it on your portal account.
Okay. Last one for this portion of the presentation. If I don't have a job, what would be an advisable time to apply for the OPT?
Look at your field of study and look at if there are any job opportunities overall generically, and what is the way that you think you will be eligible to get a job. There are some times when the job market is really hot and it is good for students to apply for OPT. There are some times when the job market is in a very dull position and the current employees in themselves are very scared to apply for any new job because they are scared to retain their current job that they have. If they look at the market, feel the market, and attend interviews, you will know it. You will get to know the pulse of it.
That's very good advice, Padma. Thank you so much for answering all those questions. There were a lot of them coming in, but if we haven't had a chance to answer your questions, of course, feel free to email us at iSSS@nmsu.edu. For now, we will move on to the next portion of the presentation. And again, if you had come into this meeting a little late, this session, not the training per se, is being recorded, so you will have access to get to the recording. Remember to look out for your email from ISSS, and you should receive an announcement on the FSN network, okay? So now let's move on to the form. Go ahead, Padma.
Okay, can you please scroll down? Okay, so this is the part, all students who are trying to apply for OPT, this is page 1. And if you have not applied for OPT at your current degree level and you are going to graduate this semester, then please check 1A. Okay, and please do not touch 1B or 1C because they're not applicable to you. Can we move on to part 2 of the application? Yes. So here, please give your full legal name, your family name, your given name, and middle name, if any. And can we scroll up, please, again, Bibi? Yes. And if you have any other names, women especially have maiden names, marital names, divorce names, and men also have aliases, etc. So if you have it, then please enter all the names that you have used in the past. Okay, then we move on to the next page. This is page 2. In here, this is part 2. It'll ask you for your US mailing address and US physical address. If, say, you are staying in a dorm and you don't know where you're going to stay after you graduate because you're not sure at this point of time, but you do have a friend or a very well-known relative that can keep your EAD card safely, then please give their US mailing address, but it has to be a US mailing address only. So give their name and their address, okay? And question number 6, can you please scroll up a little bit? Yeah, question number 6, if your mailing address and your physical address is going to be the same, then check this yes. If it is not going to be the same, then check no and give your current physical address. Although I understand, even if you're staying in your dorm, after you graduate, you may not be staying there, but please give that current address. Next. Scroll down, please. Further. Okay. Now, I think we missed page 2, the other half. Yeah. Yes. The alien registration number is not applicable to you. The 765 form is completed by many other than F1 students. For example, asylum seekers who want an employment authorization card, people who are in the process of applying for green card can also apply for 765, and emergency, if they have all of those people can apply. So alien registration number, most F1 students may not have it, and so is the USCIS online account number. So if you don't have it, please do not panic. These may not be applicable to you. Question number 10, of course, gender, you know, please indicate your marital status. And question 12, it'll ask you for have you previously filed for 765? If yes, please indicate that, and please also submit a copy of it. If you already have applied for a social security card, if you officially have it, then just say yes and provide the number around 13B. Can we move on to the next question in the same page? If you do not have a social security number, but would like to apply for it, you can apply it on this application itself. So this is what it does. Do you want the SSA to issue you a social security? Just say yes if you want it. Then consent, you have to say, because USCIS, after it approves your OPT, will send your application to SSA. So they're requesting your consent for disclosure. Next, you will have to indicate your parents' name, first name and last name. If you already have a social security number, you don't need to complete all of this part. But if you do not have a social security number, then you have to complete all of this part. And the last one on this page is, please indicate your current citizenship. 18A is if you are citizen only of one country. If you are a dual citizen, then indicate both the countries. Can we move to page 3, please? Okay. So here they will ask you for your city, town, or village of your birth, 19A. 19B asks for the state or province of your country of birth. And 19C is the country that you were born in and the date of birth. The date of birth, please remember, in the US, it is always month followed by date and then followed by year. And please use only black ink. Now, let us move on to question 21A. It talks about your I-94 arrival and departure record. Do you know what an I-94 departure record is? Here it is. This is how your I-94 will look like. And the top one is your I-94-1 number. In here, as an example, 514155658885 is your I-94 number. That is what you have to indicate on your application. Okay, can we go back to 765? Yes, please indicate your, on 21B, please indicate your passport number. Please ignore 21C. Travel document is not. Number is for certain countries who do not have a passport. 21D is for country that issued. Name the country that issued your current passport. 21E, what is the expiry date of your passport? Please indicate again the month, date, and year format only. 22, question number 22, date of your last arrival into the United States on or about. This will be indicated on your I-94. Can we go back to I-94, please? So in here, the most recent date of entry is 2017, July 25th. That is what has to be indicated. Each of your I-94 will be different. Please do not use this. I'm just giving you as an example. Okay. The next question is 24, immigration status. You will indicate F-1 student. Please do not abbreviate and just type in F-1. It has to be F-1. Question number 25 also will say F-1 student. Question number 26, your current CIVIS number. CIVIS number can be found on your I-20. Here is an example. You will find on your I-20 on the top left-hand corner. Here is the CIVIS ID N00470585 for this sample student. Okay, can we move on to the next question, 27? Question number 27 is your eligibility criteria. So as you are applying for OPT, you will have to indicate the code C as in cat in lowercase, number 3 for the next one, and B in uppercase, C3B. And from question 28 to 30G, all of them, please ignore them. They are for STEM. When you are applying for STEM OPT, these are questions not applicable to you. From questions 28 all the way to 30G, G as in gate. '31 is also not applicable to you. And if you look on the left side, again, 1A, you have to indicate that I can read and understand English, and I have read and understand every question and instruction on this application. Please check mark that way, okay? And coming to applicant's contact information, number 3, please give your telephone number if you have a landline. Indicate your mobile number if you have, and please indicate your email address. Let's move on to next page. Page 5. This is the final of your application. Please sign it in black ink and date it. And that is the end of your application. Although it has 7 pages in the application, it may look overwhelming, but we are here to simplify it and break down for you. Please feel free to reach out to us and we will walk you through it. If you have made it this far in your academic, because now you have gained a lot of knowledge, it is your next step to your door to your future. Thank you. Thank you for attending our session. And
okay,
yes.
I have a super quick question. If you could repeat the applicant signature part, can you sign the form digitally?
Students are not eligible to sign digitally. 765, absolutely not. It has to be in a ink only, by hand, in a black pen. I-20s can be issued digitally, but 765 form has to be signed by hand with a black ink. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you again, Padma. I hope you had most of your questions answered. Of course, if you still have any questions, please feel free to email us at isss@nmsu.edu. Make sure to include OPT in the subject line and include your ACI ID number in the email as well. Again, as Padma has mentioned, currently we are working remotely, but we are more than happy to meet with you for a one-on-one virtual appointment. And if you could include your availability in the email, that would be great, and we'll reach out to you shortly. I would like to, of course, thank everybody for being here. It's a pleasure to have all of you with us this afternoon. Thank you, Padma, for such a detailed presentation and answering all the questions. And thank you, Matthew and Kylie, of course, to help us answer any questions about traveling. And I hope that everybody will have a great afternoon and enjoy your weekend.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.